Chosen one. Anchor your attention to my voice right now. That feeling that you are being noticed, evaluated, or quietly observed. Do not let it control you. Breathe and listen carefully, because not every eye watching you is watching for your downfall. The atmosphere around you may have felt different over the last 72 hours. Maybe someone has been unusually quiet around you, observing without saying what they really think. Perhaps you posted something, made a decision, or stepped into a new level of confidence, and suddenly people who once ignored you seem to be paying attention. Or maybe you woke up around 3 a.m. in the morning with a heavy feeling in your chest, sensing that your life is changing before you can explain how. The enemy is trying to make those eyes feel like a threat for one reason. Your growth is becoming visible. What you have been building in private is beginning to speak in public. And this shift is reaching a turning point this week. The confusion, the fear of judgment, and the need to explain yourself are coming to an end. Not because everyone will suddenly understand you, but because you are no longer handing strangers the authority to define you. Think back to that moment when you stayed silent, instead of defending yourself. Maybe you walked away from an argument, declined an invitation, or stopped proving your worth to someone who had already made up their mind. You may have thought you were losing influence, but that restraint was a weapon. Your silence revealed who was watching out of ennui, who was watching with curiosity, and who was watching because your courage awakened something in them. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm may have placed it in front of you, but what you do with it can become a divine appointment. This is your reminder to discern the eyes around you without becoming afraid of them. In the next few minutes, you will receive a spiritual discernment decree. You will learn how to recognize the difference between scrutiny, admiration, and divine alignment. And at the end, you will seal this season with a declaration that breaks your dependence on approval. Do not scroll away. Your future self needs you to understand this. Being seen is not the same as being exposed. You are not being watched because you are powerless. You are becoming impossible to overlook. In this season, the enemy has been whispering a specific lie. Everyone is against you. You must hide until you feel safe. He is replaying that awkward conversation, that unanswered message, that moment when someone looked at you differently. He wants you to interpret every glance as rejection and every silence as judgment. But hear the truth. Scripture says, "The Lord watches over the way of the righteous." That is the verdict. Before people noticed you, God saw you. Before anyone recognized your progress, heaven witnessed your obedience. The eyes on you are not proof that you should shrink. They are evidence that your private transformation is becoming visible. You are not trapped under observation. You are standing in the light. Some messages do not just inform. They activate. Now, take a breath and let this settle. Being watched does not always mean you are in danger. Sometimes it means your life has become evidence. People are observing how you respond, how you endure, how you rebuild, and whether the pressure will make you abandon the very thing God placed inside you. They may not understand what they are seeing, but they can sense that something about you is changing. There is a quiet strength forming in you that cannot be explained by circumstances alone. It is the kind of strength that grows beneath the surface, like roots pressing through dark soil before the first green leaf appears. You have survived moments that were meant to reduce you to the worst thing that happened to you. You have walked through seasons where there was no applause, no visible reward, and no reassuring sign that your obedience was producing anything. Yet you continued. Even when your hands trembled, you continued. Even when your prayers seemed to echo back unanswered, you continued. That persistence has become a testimony, not because everything was easy, but because grace kept meeting you in places where your own strength ended. That is why certain eyes have remained on you even when you said very little. Your silence has spoken. Your restraint has spoken. The way you kept moving after disappointment has spoken louder than any explanation could. There are people who expected your pain to make you bitter, but instead it made you discerning. They expected isolation to destroy you, but it taught you how to hear without the noise of approval. They expected delay to weaken your faith, but it gave your roots time to grow deeper. What looked like a pause to others may have been God establishing you where no storm could easily uproot you. Some people only know how to measure progress by what can be displayed. They see the unopened door, the empty chair, the quiet season, and assume nothing is happening. But God often does his deepest work away from the crowd. A mountain does not announce the movement of its foundations. The dawn does not ask permission before it touches the horizon. In the same way, your transformation may be advancing even while your circumstances appear unchanged. And this is where you must become careful. Not every person watching you is assigned to harm you, and not every person cheering for you understands you. Some are witnesses, some are students, some are measuring themselves against you. Some are waiting for you to fail because your courage exposes their hesitation. Others are quietly inspired because your survival has given language to a battle they never knew how to explain. Your life may be answering questions people were too ashamed to ask aloud. The mistake is believing that every eye deserves access to your heart. It does not. Visibility is not the same as intimacy. You can be seen without being available. You can be observed without being controlled. You can be recognized without being fully understood. David learned this in the wilderness. Before he was publicly acknowledged as king, he had already been privately marked by God. The eyes around him saw a fugitive, but heaven saw a shepherd being trained to carry authority without becoming consumed by it. The wilderness taught David how to protect sheep before he was trusted with a nation. It taught him how to worship before a throne, how to wait before a crown, and how to remain tender after being betrayed. The cave was not a prison in the eyes of heaven. It was a classroom. There are places you have called hidden, but God has called them preparatory. There are seasons you have called forgotten, but God has used them to separate your identity from the opinions of people who could not recognize what He placed within you. So stop trying to prove what God is revealing. You do not need to convince every observer that your intentions are pure. You do not need to explain every transition, defend every boundary, or announce every decision. When your life enters a new season, unnecessary explanations become open doors for unnecessary opinions. Guard what is still growing. A seed does not become stronger because it is constantly exposed to the ground above it. It needs darkness, patience, water, and protection before it can bear fruit. There are promises that must be carried quietly before they can be carried publicly. Mary carried the promise of Christ before anyone could see its fulfillment. Joseph carried a dream before his brothers could understand it. Even Jesus spent years in hidden preparation before his public ministry began. Never despise the sacred work happening in secret. The unseen room may be where God is teaching you how to carry what the visible room will demand. But here is where it goes deeper. The eyes watching you are not always outside of you. Sometimes the most powerful observer is the version of yourself you keep trying to satisfy. The old you is watching to see whether you will return to familiar patterns. The wounded you is watching to see whether you will trust again. The fearful you is watching to see whether you will obey when there is no guarantee of comfort. And until you understand that, you may mistake inner resistance for spiritual opposition. The old version of you may speak in a familiar voice. It may say, "Do not hope too much. Do not try again. Do not let anyone close. Do not risk being disappointed twice." But familiarity does not make a voice truthful. Sometimes the voice feels like wisdom only because you have heard it for years. God may be inviting you into a future that your nervous system does not yet recognize as safe. That does not mean the future is wrong. It may mean healing is teaching your body and soul to live beyond survival. There is a part of you that has been trained to expect punishment after progress. Every time something good begins, you look for the loss. Every time a door opens, you search for the hidden trap. Every time someone honors you, you wonder what they want. This is not always discernment. Sometimes it is disappointment wearing the clothing of wisdom. Discernment protects your purpose. Fear makes you reject it before it can mature. You must begin to notice the difference. Fear asks, what if everything goes wrong? Wisdom asks, what is God asking me to do with what is in front of me? Fear makes every witness look like a threat. Wisdom allows the Spirit to reveal who should be trusted, who should be loved from a distance, and who should simply be released from your attention. Fear rushes to build walls. Wisdom builds gates, knowing that not every person should enter, but not every person should be treated as an enemy. Ask yourself what the fruit of a thought produces. Does it lead you toward prayer, patience, and clarity? Or does it lead you toward obsession, suspicion, and exhaustion? Scripture says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. A sound mind does not mean you ignore danger. It means danger does not become your God. You can remain alert without becoming consumed. In just a moment, we are going to uncover why some people became more attentive to you precisely when you became less available to them. But first, you need to understand that your withdrawal was not necessarily rejection. There are seasons when God removes your audience, because He is strengthening your identity without applause. When the noise fades, you begin to discover whether you truly believe what God said, or whether you only believed it when others confirmed it. When Jesus stepped away from crowds, He was not abandoning His assignment. He was refusing to let public demand dictate private obedience. He knew that people could celebrate a miracle and still misunderstand the Messiah performing it. That is a warning for you. Do not allow the reactions of people to become the compass for your calling. The same crowd that praises your gift may later demand that you use it for their convenience. There were moments when Jesus healed, taught, and served, yet still withdrew to lonely places to pray. If the Son of God protected time alone with the Father, you should not feel guilty for needing quiet. Your soul cannot remain constantly available to the demands of strangers, family, followers, or friends, and still hear the whisper of God carefully. A vessel that is always being poured out must also be filled. Otherwise, you will begin offering people the residue of what was meant to be sacred. Some eyes are watching because they benefited from the version of you that had no boundaries. They were comfortable when you were always available, always apologizing, always rescuing, always explaining. But the moment you began to honor your time, protect your peace, and ask whether an opportunity was truly aligned, their perception of you changed. They may call it pride because they can no longer access you without responsibility. They may say you have changed, and perhaps you have, but change is not always betrayal. Sometimes change is the evidence that the prayers you prayed are being answered. You asked God to teach you self-respect, and now you no longer volunteer for disrespect. You asked for discernment, and now you recognize patterns you once excused. You asked for peace, and now you are unwilling to purchase belonging with anxiety. Let them misunderstand what they cannot manipulate. You are not becoming cold because you stopped abandoning yourself. You are not selfish because you learned that compassion without wisdom can become self-destruction. Even Moses had to learn that he could not carry the entire weight of the people alone. Jethro's counsel was not a distraction from his calling. It was protection for the calling. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is stop confusing exhaustion with faithfulness. You cannot rescue everyone without eventually resenting the people you rescued. You cannot keep saying yes when God is teaching you the holiness of no. Jesus loved people deeply, but he did not entrust himself to everyone. Love and access are not identical. Forgiveness and continued exposure are not identical. A boundary is not a wall against love. It is a gate that teaches love where to enter. And once you understand that, everything shifts. The attention around you becomes information rather than intimidation. Notice who only watches when you are rising. Notice who disappears when you need support, but returns when there is something to gain. Notice who respects your silence and who becomes angry when you stop performing. You do not need to confront everyone you discern. Observation is often enough. God can reveal a pattern without requiring you to enter an argument. Pay attention to how people respond when you are no longer useful to their agenda. Pay attention to whether they can celebrate your joy without turning it into competition. Pay attention to whether they honor a boundary after you state it once. These things reveal more than dramatic declarations ever could. Character is often heard most clearly in the way someone reacts when they do not get what they want. Coming up is the part most people avoid. What if the reason certain eyes are fixed on you is not only because of what you carry, but because your transformation is confronting what they refuse to become? Stay with this, because that realization will change how you interpret both opposition and admiration. There are people who are not truly angry with you. They are disturbed by what your obedience reveals about their disobedience. Your discipline reminds them of the promise they kept postponing. Your healing reminds them that they have made an identity out of their wound. Your courage reminds them that fear has been negotiating their choices for years. This does not mean you should judge them. It means you must stop shrinking to make their avoidance feel comfortable. Your obedience may become a mirror. It may show someone the business they never started, the apology they never offered, the gift they buried, or the relationship they remained in long after peace left. A mirror does not insult the person standing before it. It simply reflects what is there. Do not destroy yourself because someone resents the reflection your life provides. You are not responsible for making your light less honest, so someone else can remain at peace with their darkness. But you are responsible for carrying that light without arrogance. That is the balance. The chosen life is not permission to feel superior. It is a summons to become more accountable. If more eyes are on you, then your reactions matter more. Your private character must become strong enough to hold the public weight of your influence. Light is not proven by shouting. It is proven by consistency. A lamp does not need to argue with the darkness. It simply remains lit. Let your life testify without turning every testimony into a performance. Walk humbly. Speak truthfully. Correct yourself quickly. Give God the glory when doors open, and give God the glory when He closes doors you wanted to enter. This is why God may be dealing with your motives before expanding your reach. You may be asking for more visibility, but heaven is asking whether you can remain whole when people misunderstand you. You may be asking for recognition, but God may be teaching you to serve without needing to be acknowledged. You may be asking for the platform while He is preparing your heart for the pressure that comes with being seen. Visibility magnifies whatever is already inside. If insecurity is hidden, visibility exposes it. If pride is hidden, visibility gives it a microphone. If love is genuine, visibility gives it reach. This is why preparation can feel slower than you expected. God is not delaying the promise to punish you. He is strengthening the container so the blessing does not crush you. The overlooked years of Gideon were not meaningless. Before he stood before an army, he had to confront the image he carried of himself. He called himself the least, but God called him a mighty warrior before his circumstances agreed. That is the tension you are living in now. The world may still be responding to your history while heaven is preparing you according to your identity. You may still see the winepress while God sees the battlefield. You may still see your limitations while God sees what obedience will unlock through you. Gideon did not feel mighty when the angel addressed him. He had to move while the evidence was still incomplete. In the same way, you may not feel ready when the next instruction comes. Readiness is not always a feeling. Sometimes it is the decision to trust the one who called you. But let me challenge you with something. Some of the eyes watching you may be there because you keep giving them something to watch. You keep announcing moves before they are complete. You keep revealing private grief to people who have not demonstrated emotional safety. You keep seeking validation from those who have already shown you that they cannot celebrate what they did not initiate. Your heart is not a public square. It is a garden. You do not invite every passerby to dig into the soil, handle the roots, and decide what should grow. Some things need prayer before conversation. Some dreams need obedience before explanation. Some wounds need healing before they become stories you share with the world. Privacy is not secrecy when it is being used to protect sacred development. Not every revelation needs an audience. There is power in allowing God to finish a work before you invite commentary. Nehemiah rebuilt the wall while enemies mocked, questioned, and attempted to distract him. He did not stop construction to answer every accusation. He understood that some conversations are designed to pull you away from the assignment so you can defend yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Your next level may require fewer announcements and more completion. Let the fruit speak when the tree is ready. Let consistency answer what arguments cannot. Let time expose what emotion tries to hide. You do not have to chase every rumor, because truth has a way of surviving the impatience of falsehood. There is a holy silence that is not weakness. It is focus. It is the sound of hands continuing to build while critics continue to talk. It is the discipline of refusing to spend tomorrow's strength defending yesterday's decision. When God gives you an assignment, not every interruption deserves a response. Some distractions lose power the moment you stop feeding them attention. And yet, there is another layer. Sometimes you are not being watched because people are fascinated by your strength. Sometimes they are watching to see whether you will continue to tolerate what God told you to leave. They are testing the boundary you declared. They are waiting to see if loneliness will make you return to what wounded you. They know that if they remain nearby long enough, the old version of you may negotiate your freedom away. This is where you must become honest. You cannot ask God to remove the eyes of observers while continuing to hand them access. You cannot pray for protection and then repeatedly return to the same environment that drains your discernment. You cannot call it destiny when it is only familiarity. The wilderness may be uncomfortable, but bondage often feels familiar enough to be mistaken for belonging. The children of Israel looked back toward Egypt because slavery was known territory. Freedom required them to trust a path they had never walked. Your fear may not be that you will fail in the future. Your deeper fear may be that you will succeed and have no excuse to return to the past. If you become who God called you to be, some relationships will no longer fit. Some conversations will no longer satisfy you. And some places will feel too small for the person you have become. That is not always loss. Sometimes it is evidence of growth. A child does not grieve the loss of clothing that no longer fits. The tightness itself proves that growth has occurred. You are allowed to outgrow environments that once protected you. You are allowed to release roles that were formed during survival. You are allowed to walk away from doors that only open when you become smaller. But wait, before you move forward, you need to see the hidden contradiction. The more you obsess over who is watching you, the more power you give them. Your assignment is not to monitor every observer. Your assignment is to remain faithful under observation. The enemy would love to turn your discernment into surveillance, making you spend all your energy studying faces instead of building what God placed in your hands. You do not need to know every name. You need to know your direction. You do not need to decode every glance. You need to recognize the voice of God. You do not need to prove that you are chosen. Chosen people are not validated by constant attention. They are validated by surrendered obedience. There will always be someone who misunderstands your motives, questions your timing, or interprets your silence through the lens of their own wounds. If you make their understanding the condition for your movement, you will remain standing at the edge of every promise. Move with prayer, move with integrity, move with the quiet confidence that God can defend what He originated. And here is the part you probably did not expect. The greatest threat to your calling may not be the people watching you. It may be your desire to be witnessed by them. There is a difference between being observed and craving observation. One happens around you. The other begins to rule you. If you need your enemies to see you win, they still have a portion of your heart. If you need those who rejected you to witness your elevation, then your healing is still tied to their recognition. If your dream secretly depends on proving someone wrong, you may reach the destination and still feel empty, because the person you wanted to impress is no longer holding the same power. Joseph did not become fruitful because his brothers finally understood him. He became fruitful because he refused to let betrayal define the use of his gift. His life was not a revenge announcement. It was a stewardship assignment. That is the shift God is calling you into. Stop building a future designed to make the past regret losing you. Build it because you have become responsible for what heaven entrusted to you. Your gift is too sacred to be used as a weapon against old enemies. Your future is too valuable to become a message aimed at people who did not recognize your worth. Let God handle the vindication. Your responsibility is to remain faithful, useful, and free. When you no longer need revenge to feel restored, you will know that the wound has lost its throne. Your victory will become cleaner when it no longer requires an audience. Your peace will become deeper when it does not depend on who notices. Your obedience will become stronger when nobody is clapping. And strangely, that is often when the right eyes begin to see you. Not because you performed for them, but because authenticity has a sound that cannot be manufactured. So from this moment, move with wisdom, but do not move with suspicion. Protect your spirit, but do not close your heart to every sincere connection. Test the fruit, not merely the words. Let people demonstrate consistency before you give them influence. Forgive without reopening every door. Love without surrendering your discernment. Remain humble without pretending you have not been called to carry something significant. You can be discerning and still be tender. You can be cautious and still be loving. You can protect your peace without becoming imprisoned by fear. Ask God for eyes that see clearly, ears that hear accurately, and a heart that does not turn hard simply because it has been hurt. The goal is not to become unreachable. The goal is to become properly aligned. The eyes of heaven are on you before the eyes of people ever are. God sees the conversations you survived, the temptations you resisted, the tears you wiped away in private, and the times you chose integrity when compromise would have been easier. Nothing about your hidden obedience has been wasted. The watching is not only judgment, it is witness. Heaven has been watching you become someone your former self could not have imagined. The Father saw you when nobody celebrated the small victories. He saw the day you chose not to answer in anger. He saw the moment you closed the door you once begged to remain open. He saw you give again after betrayal, pray again after disappointment, and rise again after a season that nearly convinced you to stay down. Your life is not invisible. The silence around your process is not proof of divine absence. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release the need to be understood by everyone. I release the need to prove my worth to those who overlooked me. I release fear, suspicion, and the desire to perform for an audience. I receive wisdom to recognize what is safe, courage to leave what is not, and humility to carry what God has entrusted to me. I will not shrink because I am seen, and I will not become arrogant because I am noticed. My identity is secure in God. My obedience is enough. My purpose will not be stopped by observation, opposition, or misunderstanding. I move forward with peace, clarity, and clean motives. If this message met you in a real place, do not respond from pressure. Let it become a quiet decision. Write, "I will move with wisdom" in the comments as a declaration of alignment. And if someone came to mind while you listened, share this with them, only if it can bring clarity rather than fear. Subscribe and stay connected for the next message. But more than anything, take what God revealed here into your private life. The eyes may be on you, but your focus belongs to the one who called you.